Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Yeah, great to be here.
Today, we're going to be looking at excerpts from Dan Abnett's Warhammer novel, Bloodstorm.
Oh, wow. Classic.
Yeah, and, this is one we've had requested a few times,
Right.
and we're finally getting to it. And we're going to be focusing specifically on Malus Darkblade,
Of course.
a character many consider a straight-up villain. But is he really that simple?
Yeah. Is he?
I'm not so sure.
Well, I mean,
Something.
let's not forget we're dealing with the druchii here,
Right?
the dark elves.
Yeah.
Ambition and ruthlessness are practically in their DNA. It's just how they are.
Okay, true. But even for a druchii, Malus goes pretty far.
He does.
I mean, he's willing to make deals with demons, betray his family,
Right.
manipulate anyone, all for power.
Right.
So I guess the question is he a product of his environment, or
Right.
is there something inherently, I don't know, darker about him?
That's the question that makes this deep dive so fascinating.
Yeah, right?
Abnett doesn't give us easy answers.
No.
And let's look at the excerpts dealing with Malus's pact with the daemon Sarkin.
Okay.
It's described as parasitic, but the details are chilling.
Yeah, it's not just a simple grant me power kind of deal.
Oh, no.
It feels more insidious than that.
It really does.
Like Sarkin is feeding on Malus's desperation.
Exactly.
His ambition.
It's not just about Malus gaining power.
Right.
It's about Sarkin gaining a foothold in the world.
Okay.
Twisting Malus's actions to suit his own ends.
Mm-hmm.
There's a passage where Malus describes the demon's influence as like
Oh, yeah.
a voice whispering in the back of my mind, urging me towards ever greater acts of cruelty.
Oh.
It's creepy.
Yeah, and that makes you wonder
Yeah.
how much of Malus's ruthlessness is his own and how much is the demon whispering in his ear?
Exactly.
Is he truly in control, or is he just a puppet dancing to Sarkin's tune?
Right. And that's before we even factor in the brutal world
Oh, yeah.
of druchii society.
Yeah.
There's that line, there is no sin in Nagaroth save weakness.
Yeah, I remember that line.
That tells you everything you need to know about their culture.
Right. It's dog-eat-dog world where backstabbing and betrayal are everyday occurrences.
Yeah, just another Tuesday.
Right. And Malus's family
Oh, absolutely.
is a perfect example of that.
His father, Lorhan the Volcar,
Yeah.
is the epitome of druchii ruthlessness.
Yeah.
Instead of nurturing Malus, he subjects him to brutal tests,
Right.
almost trying to break him.
I mean, disowning your son for racking up debts is one thing.
Yeah.
But the excerpts describe torture, psychological manipulation.
Yeah.
I have to wonder, how does a childhood like that shape someone?
Right. Does it make them inherently evil
Yeah,
or just incredibly driven to prove themselves?
that's a great point. Because you could argue that Lorhan's cruelty
Right.
is what created Malus Darkblade.
Yeah.
He had to become ruthless just to survive.
To survive in that world.
Right.
But then we have his siblings,
Right.
who weren't exactly raised with hugs and kisses either.
Yeah. Uriel the half-brother is all about fanatical devotion to the war god Cain.
Yeah.
He seems to represent the more traditional,
Uh-huh.
brutal path of a druchii warrior.
The classic.
Right.
Whereas Nagara Malus's sister
Right.
is all about cunning and manipulation.
Yeah.
She's deeply involved with the cult of Slaanesh,
Oh, boy.
the chaos god of pleasure and excess.
And this is where things get really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Slaanesh's influence is all about temptation,
Uh-huh.
about indulging your darkest desires.
Your darkest.
And Malus, he's clearly drawn to that power,
Of course.
but he's also aware of the danger.
There's a scene
Yes.
where Nagara tries to initiate him into the cult,
Oh,
promising him unimaginable pleasures.
oh my.
And for a moment, you can see him wavering.
Yeah.
He wants that power,
Uh-huh.
but there's a part of him that recoils from the depravity.
And I think that's what makes Malus such a compelling character.
It is.
He's not just a mindless villain.
No.
He's wrestling with these internal conflicts.
Yeah. These temptations that could easily consume him.
Completely consume him.
Right.
He's caught between the brutality of his upbringing,
Uh-huh.
the seductive whispers of the daemon,
Right.
and the temptations of chaos.
Yeah.
It's like he's constantly teetering on the edge of a precipice,
Oh, wow.
trying to maintain his balance while surrounded by forces that want to pull him down.
And just when you think things can't get any worse, he gets caught up in this whole plot
Right.
with these skin riders who are basically chaos-worshipping pirates, right?
Yeah, the Skin Riders,
Yeah.
they're nasty.
Malus is searching for the lost Isle of Morhaut.
Uh,
This legendary place said to hold powerful artifacts that Sargon desires.
right.
He ends up on this ship captained by Brugler,
Oh, yeah.
who's bound by a writ.
Yeah, an official order.
An official order from the druchii,
Right.
the ruler of their city.
Their city.
So even when he's trying to achieve his own goals,
Right.
he's still playing someone else's game.
Someone else's game.
And then, of course, there's Tenethra's betrayal. Oh, Tenethra Brugler's first officer.
Right.
She seems like a potential ally.
Yeah.
Even a possible love interest.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
But then, bam, she's working with the Skin Riders all along.
Oh, man.
It's a brutal reminder that in this world, trust is a fragile thing.
Yeah. You can't trust anybody.
No, you can't.
And it sets the stage for this epic confrontation.
It does.
With the demonic chieftain of the Skin Riders.
Oh, yeah.
Malus is outmatched, outnumbered, and forced to flee into a labyrinth.
Into a
A
labyrinth?
place where time and space are distorted.
Oh, I love this part.
It's like a physical manifestation of the chaos that's engulfing him.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
It really is.
So we're
That's where we're going to pick up.
pick up next time with Malus in the labyrinth.
Trapped.
And yeah, things are about to get really weird.
They really are.
So yeah, join us next time for part 2 of this deep dive into Malus Darkblade.
Can't wait. So there's Malus trapped in this labyrinth.
Yeah.
And it's not just a physical maze, right?
Right.
Abnett makes it clear that this place messes with time, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a reflection of how twisted Malus's own path has become.
You know, it's interesting you say that because so far we've been asking if he's the villain, but what if the labyrinth itself represents something villainous? This force that traps people makes them confront their worst selves.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
It's like the labyrinth is another antagonist,
Right.
but one that works on a psychological level.
Right.
And what does a villain want?
To break you down, make you give in to your darkest desires.
Exactly.
And that brings us to the armor of the druchii, right?
Yeah.
That's not just some random prize Malus stumbles across.
No.
It's the symbol of ultimate power in his city, Haggagreif.
And remember, he's had a vision of himself wearing it,
Oh, yeah.
leading a bloody conquest.
Right.
The labyrinth is showing him a possible future, but one that feels almost inevitable given everything we've discussed.
But that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it inevitable, or is Malus choosing to walk that path?
Right. He's not exactly a stranger to violence, even before the labyrinth.
This is where the druchii culture comes back into play, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely.
They revere strength power.
Yeah.
Even if Malus wanted a peaceful life,
Right.
is it even possible for someone raised in that world to escape the cycle of violence?
That's a good question.
It is.
For you, listener, do you think someone can truly overcome their upbringing?
Hmm.
Or are we all shaped by our past in ways we can't escape?
And let's not forget the demon.
Oh, right.
Every time Malus gets a taste of power, Tarquin whispers in his ear, urging him towards more.
It's like a drug, right?
Yeah,
The more power you get, the more you crave.
exactly.
And that's exactly what Tarquin wants. He's feeding off Malus's ambition, pushing him further down this dark path.
It makes me think of those classic cautionary tales.
Oh, yeah.
The king who's granted one wish, but it comes with a terrible price.
Yeah.
Malus might get everything he desires, but at what cost?
His soul, his humanity. Right. And what does it even mean to be human for a druchii?
Yeah, good point.
They have a very different view of morality than, say, the humans in the Warhammer world.
Exactly. There's no black and white here.
No.
Only shades of gray.
And that's what makes Malus's story so compelling.
It is.
It forces us to confront our own biases, our own definitions of good and evil.
So we've got the labyrinth as this external force pushing Malus towards his darkest self.
Right.
We've got Sarkhan, the internal tempter, whispering promises of power.
Yeah.
But there's also the influence of Malus's family, right?
Oh, absolutely.
They've played a huge role in shaping who he is.
We talked about Lorhan, the father, and his brutal methods.
Right.
But what about Negaira?
Yeah, she's a piece of work.
She's not just his sister. She's almost like a dark mirror of Malus himself.
Right. She embodies the cunning, manipulative side of the druchii.
Oh, exactly.
And she's not afraid to use her connection to the cult of Slaanesh to get what she wants.
And remember, she tried to pull Malus into the cult, too. She offered him a taste of Slaanesh's power, but he ultimately resisted, or did he just postpone the inevitable?
That's a good question, because even though Malus rejects the cult's overt embrace,
Right.
there's a sense that he's still drawn to its power, its promise of forbidden knowledge and unrestrained pleasure.
And then you have Uriel, the zealot.
Right.
He's all about brute force religious fervor.
Yeah.
It's almost like he represents the path Malus could have taken.
Right.
If he hadn't been so cunning, so willing to compromise.
It's like each sibling represents a different aspect of druchii society, pushing Malus in different directions.
But ultimately, he has to choose his own path.
And speaking of choice, what about Yasmir?
Oh, Yasmir the wild card.
She's beautiful, ruthless, and deeply connected to magic.
Remember how Uriel used her blood for his sorcery?
Yeah, what was that all about?
It's hinted that there's something unique about her, something that makes her a potent conduit for magical power.
And let's not forget the twisted dynamic between her and Malus. There's lust, there's rivalry.
It's messy.
There's this begrudging respect. It's like a powder keg waiting to explode.
And it's never quite clear whose side she's on.
Right.
Is she manipulating Malus, using him for her own ends? Or does she genuinely care for him in her own twisted way?
It's a testament to Abnett's writing that even with a character as outwardly villainous as Malus, we can still see these glimmers of humanity, these moments of doubt and vulnerability.
Yes, like his relationship with his retainer, Hawkler.
Oh, yeah, Hawkler.
Here's this guy who's sworn to serve Malus.
Right.
Even though Malus treats him terribly most of the time.
But there's this sense of loyalty.
Yeah.
Of begrudging respect between them.
It is.
It's like Hawkler's the only one who can truly speak his mind to Malus, who can challenge his decisions.
He's almost like a conscience, reminding Malus that there are consequences to his actions. That even a druchii lord can't just do whatever he wants without repercussions.
It's a reminder that even in the darkest corners of the Warhammer world, there are still bonds of friendship, of loyalty.
There are.
And that even the most ruthless individuals can have a soft spot for someone.
And it's interesting to contrast that with the Skin Riders.
Oh, yeah.
They represent the raw, untamed power of chaos.
Right.
Driven by base instincts and a lust for destruction.
They're savages.
It's like they're the embodiment of everything the druchii try to control to channel into their own society.
And yet Malus finds himself forced to work with them.
He does.
To make deals with these chaotic forces in order to achieve his own goals.
Right. It's like he's dancing with the devil.
Yeah.
And he knows it could easily consume him.
But there's also this sense that Malus is drawn to their power.
I think so.
That he sees a reflection of himself in their savagery. Remember that scene where he battles the demonic chieftain?
Oh, that scene is brutal.
Even Sir Arkan is terrified.
He is.
It's a glimpse into the truly monstrous power that lurks in the Warhammer world.
It really is.
But it's also a turning point for Malus.
Okay.
He realizes he's outmatched, outgunned. And he's forced to rely on his cunning, his ability to manipulate and outsmart his enemies.
It's a reminder that brute force isn't always the answer.
No, it's not.
Sometimes it's the clever, the resourceful who survive.
And as we head into the final part of Malus's journey, that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
He's facing impossible odds, surrounded by enemies, and battling the darkness within himself. But if anyone can find a way out of this mess, it's Malus Darkblade.
But will it be a victory or just another step towards his damnation?
That is the question.
That's the question that's going to keep us on the edge of our seats, isn't it?
Absolutely. We'll see you next time.
So we left off with Malus facing impossible odds, his fleet sailing into a trap. He's trapped in this labyrinth. It's like everything's about to collapse.
And yet, knowing Malus, I bet you anything, he's got some crazy scheme brewing, right?
Oh,
But before we get to that, I keep thinking about how the labyrinth isn't just a physical space.
Right.
It's messing with time, too.
Yeah, it's not just about him being lost.
Yeah.
It's about forcing him to relive key moments.
Exactly.
And one of the most vivid excerpts is when he sees himself claiming the armor of the druchii, becoming the ruler of Haeggrafe.
Which, let's be honest, has been his goal all along, hasn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, even if he wasn't consciously thinking it, everything he's done has been about acquiring power.
Power and control.
Right.
That's the druchii way.
Exactly. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
The vision isn't some glorious victory.
No.
It's described as a bloody conquest with Malus at the helm of a brutal campaign.
Right.
It's like the labyrinth is saying, here's your dream, but look at the price you'll pay.
Yeah, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
And you know, this brings up a question for you, listener.
Okay.
If you were Malus at that moment, seeing that vision, what would you feel? Excitement, horror? Both because I think that's the line Abnett walks so well with this character, making us almost root for him, even when he's doing terrible things.
It's the moral ambiguity.
Yes.
We talked about earlier, right? Especially since even in this vision of triumph, there's a detail that chills me.
What's that?
Malus notices someone else lurking in the shadows, seemingly orchestrating things.
Whoa, okay, so it's like even as he's reaching the pinnacle of his power, he's still being manipulated? Who is this shadowy figure?
Well, the excerpts eventually reveal that it's none other than Sarkin.
Oh, no.
The demon has been playing a much deeper game than we realized.
That's insane. So all this time, while Malus is thinking he's in control, making his own choices,
Yep.
it's been Sarkin pulling the strings.
It makes you reevaluate everything, doesn't it?
It really does.
Was Malus ever truly free?
Right.
Or was he, as you said earlier, just a puppet dancing to the demon's tune?
It's like one of those tragic heroes in Greek mythology.
Oh, yeah.
They think they're defying fate, but they're actually playing right into its hands.
Right into it.
And that makes you wonder, is there such a thing as free will in the Warhammer world? Or are these characters all just pawns in this cosmic game between order and chaos?
That's a question that goes beyond even this one story, wouldn't you say?
It does.
It makes you think about the nature of choice of destiny. What do you think, listeners? So, do you believe in fate? Or do you think we have the power to shape our own destinies?
Because even as Tarkan reveals his hand, Malus doesn't just give up.
No, he doesn't.
He fights back, desperately clinging to the belief that he can break free from the demon's control.
There's that one line that's so powerful. I will not be your puppet. Malus snarls at Sarkan.
Yeah.
And in that moment, you can see the conflict raging within him.
Yeah.
He's terrified, but he's also defiant. He refuses to be a pawn in someone else's game.
And that's what makes him so compelling, right? He's not just some evil mastermind.
Yeah.
He's a complex individual struggling with his own demons, both literal and figurative.
Absolutely.
He's made terrible choices, but he's also capable of moments of courage, of loyalty.
You remember how he risked everything to save Hawkler from the Skin Riders?
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
And how even when facing those horrifying creatures in the labyrinth, he never loses sight of his goal, his ambition to claim what he believes is rightfully his.
It's that relentless drive, that refusal to give up, that makes him such a fascinating character to study.
He's a survivor.
So as we reach the end of our deep dive into Bloodstorm,
Yeah.
I'm left with more questions than answers.
Always.
Is Malus a villain, a hero, or something in between?
I think it's up to each of us to decide. Abnett gives us the pieces, but he doesn't force us to assemble them in any particular way.
And that's the beauty of a deep dive like this, isn't it?
It is.
It's not about finding the answer. It's about exploring the possibilities, the complexities, the things that make us think, that make us question our own assumptions.
And ultimately, it's about appreciating the power of storytelling, the way a well-crafted character like Malus Darkblade can stay with us long after we finish the book.
So until our next deep dive, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those critical thinking gears turning. And maybe, just maybe, you'll find yourself rooting for the villain every now and then.
You never know.